You guys were able to see my screen? Okay, great. So in this class, okay, which are the concepts that we covered till today? One is template text, and then scriptlet, JSP declarations, and JSP directives, and JSP expressions. These are the concept we covered. Template text means normal text message, whatever. This is called template text. So this will be get copy. Actually, to speak, what happens whenever we hit the URL in the servlet, it is in the service method, it is going to copy in a print.write method, right, for the template text. Then what is a scriptlet? We are going to open the Angular brace and then close it as like this. So inside whatever the code that you're writing, okay, inside whatever that you're writing, it will be just copied inside the JSP service method. Nothing but it's a service method only. Right, this is called the scriptlet. And then declarations. So declarations are nothing but for example, just put it here bank symbol. This is the only difference with this just declarations. Here if I given a so in this way, if you have written, this will be just copied outside the JSP service. Nothing but these will be created as instance variables, and these will be created as a methods. It will be created as a method, right? So that is the purpose of the JSP directives. And then expression tags. Expression tags are nothing but whenever you did some operation in a scriptlet and you want to print something, some value, okay, or you want to compare some of some value, comparison of some value, like that. If you're trying to write, in that case we are going to use the JSP expressions. Actually, to speak, instead of using the out.println or out.write in a scriptlet, they were suggested like please use these JSP expression tags so that the code will be clean. Okay, and then finally yesterday we have started about the JSP directives. Okay, totally we're having the three kinds of the directives. One is page directive, second one is include directive, and third one is a tag lib directive. Okay, so now we were looking into this, right, and we were done with some of the examples. One is with the language. Actually, to speak, it's like what the web container supports. In general, web container supports the Java only language. It never supports the JavaScript because it depends upon that. For example, Tomcat or WebLogic or WebSphere, all these are like it supports the Java, but it never supports the JavaScript. Okay, here if you give JavaScript at here and try to hit, no, it will never works because nowadays web containers are not supporting for that. Okay, it's not a big problem for us. Just don't declare this so that you can able to write the scripts also inside of it. Okay, here you are explicitly showing that's the reason. It will stop you up to the Java. Okay, if you want to go for a JavaScript, only one server is there, that is called the Resin server. That is the only server which supports the JavaScript and along with Java. Okay. Okay, then next one is the info. So what happens if I try to write the tag as like this page attribute info is equal to value. This is one.jsp file. So this value will be just copied into the return type of a get servlet info, right? Whenever you're trying to hit in this one, it is going to get hit like this. So it will be just copied at here. Okay, and then we have seen the import also. So if you want to import any classes, then we can able to use this attribute import is equal to whatever java.util dot whatever the class name. If you give, that's good, but if you don't know the class name, just better to give the star so that it is going to download all the class files, and it's going to import all the class files into the current JVM. Okay. In general, if you want to declare the multiple imports, then please do the separate by comma. Okay, and then there is a next another tag called extends. So if you want to extend any class, then you have to use this. Okay, so whenever I'm writing as like this extends keyword, okay, whenever I'm writing the extends keyword, what happens is like for this 1.jsp file here, as part of the extends part, it is going to extend this particular class. Okay, extend this particular class. If you want to extend any class, then you have to use this attribute extends and the class name. Okay, and then next attribute is buffer. You guys were able to listen my voice?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, next one is buffer. Okay, next page attribute is buffer. So what is this buffer? In general, in the JSP file, we are going to write something. Okay, I mean some text, and after that operation, that particular message has to be carried towards the browser, right? That message has to be carried towards the browser, and in the browser we are going to display that particular message. See here, how much data that you need to carry is depend upon this buffer. By default, this buffer is 8 KB. Means you can able to carry some information from server to the client browser for a particular page. I'm saying, okay, not whole. For a particular page, you can carry at a maximum of 8 KB. Okay, max of 8 KB means a max of 8 KB of text information that you can able to carry from your server to browser. In case if your page is like very heavy, and if your page is somewhere some 10,000 lines are there, it's like more than 8 KB. If that is the case, then you can able to change this buffer size. For example, explicitly if I put as a 16 KB, then by default it is 8 KB. Okay, if explicitly shown as buffer is equal to 16 KB, then this particular JSP files get the thing like it can able to transfer the 16 KB from server to the client. Otherwise it will throw an error message, I'm unable to transfer this file or unable to send this file through network.
Yeah, if I put like 0 KB, it will throw error, right?
We'll try. Let me start the server. So it is throwing some error message, unable to compile the class for JSP. Let us see if we have any errors at here. Hmm, okay, my class, let me try to remove that. It is still carrying the information.
Yeah.
So it says like maybe if it is like less than 8 KB also, it still can able to send the information. Means if you want to send more than 8 KB, then explicitly there you need to show, I think.
Oh, by default it is 8 KB.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, for example, if your page hang 32 KB, yes, you can able to transfer this information, but if according to mine, it is not been suggestible to use as like this because because your file has to be get transferred in the network, it has to be like as less weight as possible. So better not to increase this kind of size unless like there is an reason behind. Okay, because I never seen in my real-time projects I used it as a 16 KB, 20 KB like this. Okay, by default whatever that is going to give, just we're going to use for that. I mean, if you want to have some such 1,000 lines like that, then there is another way called include is there. We're going to use that so that it will resolve our problem. Okay, and then
You did like view source, right? What is that?
here
Yeah.
view page source.
So whatever the JSP, it will show here.
Generally it never shows the JSP it will show only the normal text message or HTML text. That's it. It never shows the Java code or JSP code.
Just the HTML.
Yes, for example, if you have written something code piece of code outside all this, for example L1, and here you're trying to printing this value, so these only it will show. It never shows the declarations, it never shows the scriptlets, it never shows the page attributes. No, these are not actual to speak. First of all, these are not been transferred to the browsers. Browser don't know JSPs. Browser know only HTMLs. Okay, in the server, what you are going to do, you are going to convert this JSP into one normal HTML file and send it back to the user.
Question.
Yes.
Then how come this whatever we are writing in the expression,
Mm-hmm.
how come we are writing in the form of like Java, right? Out dot println.
Mm-hmm.
But if the browser knows only HTML, the data is transferred, right?
Mm-hmm.
How is that? My question is like, browser knows only HTML, right?
Yes.
But we are not writing in the HTML format.
Internally web container is going to write it. Okay.
Ah, okay.
So that's the reason, like it's going to hide many things for the developer. Okay, and it is going to take everything into its own control so that it's going to reduce the developer's part here. Otherwise, if the developer has to concentrate on each and every, it's going to it's going to take a lot of time for me to do all things. So that's the reason most of the cases we given to the containers. Okay, containers will take care about everything.
Yeah. Is there a way that we can see that code, like where it transfers, like HTML?
No, that's a separate server programming you need to see.
Okay.
Actually, to speak, one thing I want to tell you, these server kind of a programmings are like related to their own company patents. Okay, then they will never show you this kind of a scripts. For example, if the company like WebLogic has shown you this, other company may copy. Okay,
Okay.
they,
Okay.
they can copy the same content and they will say like, yes, we created one web container. So at that too, those web containers and everything was written in a C language, not in normal Java language.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to handle all these things. So it never, they will never show you. For example, try for example Oracle database. If you see how the data will be get stored internally, they are using some different language and algorithms to store your data in Oracle database,
Mm-hmm.
but they will
Yeah.
never show you how they are using the algorithms or scripting or whatever it is, because they are abstracting, because that's their policy. They are the private companies, not the public companies, right?
Correct. Yeah, I got it. Here, what I understood was whatever we are writing in the out dot println or like out dot write methods,
Mm-hmm.
those are like putting in the body of the HTML, correct?
Yes, just blindly in the body, but actually to speak, we should never write like that. Whenever you are sending the information back to the user, at that time we have to pass the information as like this if it is required. Means here, this is the declaration part here, right? So out dot print. like this. We need to write the tags explicitly at here, and you need to add some information whatever you want to. This is the way you need to do. But you know, whenever you're doing the program first, okay, you get to know, right, come on, this should not start at here. So then what you're going to do, just you're going to close this. Okay, you're going to close this at here. Okay, and then just cut this, just come back here, take another scriptlet here. Okay, and then out dot print. So this is the way you need to write here. Okay, this will be the starting tag and this will be the ending tag. In between you have written something, and wherever it is required you can able to add some other information also, like, you know, if I want this to be and want to make this complex, if you want I'll show you. So that this will be get copied inside the P, means it will become a paragraph, or otherwise if you want to make it as a bold, then I'm going to put as like this. Okay, I mean this is the way that you're going to handle the things
Okay.
in real time. Means we're going to add the HTMLs in between the Java code, so that, you know, wherever it is required. Previously there were no HTML tags and body tags. Now there were HTML head, body, and everything have been available. We've written something wrong at here, right? Yeah. And anyway,
So previously, Servlet content, JSP content took care of handling these HTML body and everything, right?
yeah. Now also it's going to JSP, and now also web container is going to take care. So whatever it is there in out.println, it is going to just copy in a one HTML file. It is going to create one HTML file. In that HTML file, it is going to just copy that information. If you explicitly shown the HTML and
Okay.
body, it is going to copy. If you didn't shown, some plain text will be get copied. For example, see normal HTML page. If you didn't write on anything, but still you can able to display normal text message in HTML or not.
Yeah, because the browser it creates like by default
Yes.
tags.
Mm.
Oh, in the same way, correct? Yeah, got it.
Okay. In the same way, here also been help. Okay. Next one, error page. Okay. Okay. Next one is error page. See here, what is happening? I kept the error page here until unless this program is running fine, there are no issues. Okay, until unless this program is running fine, there are no issues. But the issues will come when there is an exception comes here. Okay, let me try to remove all this. Okay, when the exception comes, there the issue comes here. Okay, so consider I'm trying to do an operation as like this. Okay, I have taken one JSP expression. I'm trying to print the value as like this. Are we going to get an exception out here or not?
Yeah.
Arithmetic exception, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let us try to print this. This is an error.jsp. How come it went to the error.jsp? Go back to the one.jsp. So for example, if I didn't give as like this, I gave it as 10, then let us come back and try to print. It is printing L1 and 10. L1 and 10 are which have been present in. So L1 and 10 both are present in the same page, right? Let me try to make it some exception at here. This is error.jsp, means some other JSP file is there. Let us go and see, do you have any such?
Even we didn't try do the try catch.
Yeah, see, there is another JSP called error.jsp file. I already opened here. Okay, so and this is saying like this is error.jsp file. Okay, so now what happens is like if any error comes into this particular file, if any error happens, then please go and call this error.jsp. So that's what this page attribute will do. Got an idea?
Yes.
Okay, great. And we have another page attribute is error page. Okay, this one by default it is a false. Okay, and let us try to see what happens. If we want to say the current page as an error page, you are doing some condition. Okay, you are doing some condition based upon this boolean parameter. You are going to take a decision whether it has to stay in the current page or go to the error page. In those cases we are going to use this is error page example. Okay, but practically I never seen, because these kind of things to be controlled by a controller and the service models in real time. Okay, we never use this kind of here. Okay, okay, where they have given, just we're using whether it will, like, how it works and all. Okay, then
Can you tell me again?
okay, is error page, this is a kind of a boolean parameter. Okay, by default it is a false. Okay, you're doing some code here. Okay, in such a condition you get to know, like, somewhere at some point if you got an error, then there you are going to set this parameter as a true. Okay, if you're going to set this parameter as a 2, based upon this condition you're going to pass to the error page. Okay, in those cases we are going to use this is error page.
If I keep false, the it should not go to error JSP page,
No,
right?
never. By default it is false only. If you didn't declare also, okay, if you didn't declare also, it's a false only. Okay, but this has not been suggestible to use, actually, to speak. Okay, and yes, next one.
Money.
Yes, yeah, I lost connection. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. If I put to true, it won't go to error JSP.
No, I mean, here just based on the boolean parameter I'm going to take a decision. I'm not saying like if I kept the true then it's going to go to the error page.
Can you show me example, please?
Mm, yes. Okay, let us see this is error page.php file. Did you get Vijay? I will show you now. Okay. See here. How many implicit objects been available for us in service layer, in service method? Total 9,
9.
right? In that one, exception is present or not?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. By default, if this error page is false, okay, if this error page is false, this is not even to be declared in a servlet. I mean, indirectly whenever you hit this. Okay. Whenever,
Okay.
if I make it as a true, okay, this will be declared, and if any exception comes, just try to use this exception.print stack trace, so that you can able to print that particular stack trace into the UI or whatever logs or somewhere else.
Okay.
Means that's what I'm saying. For example, you're doing some logic, okay? You're doing some writing some logic. In that particular logic, whenever in some cases, if you got information like, whenever this happens, then I'm going to get an exception. Either customer exception or runtime exception. If you thought sometimes runtime exceptions may not be expected, those will comes unexpectedly, right? Okay, comparative exceptions we can able to expect. Okay, in those cases, what we'll say, if something is happens, then make it this as a true, so that if it make it as a true, then I can able to exception implicit object will be get enabled. By using this exception object, I can able to print the stack trace.
Okay.
Okay, by default this is a false, actual to speak.
Okay. Yeah, something like we are telling like whatever the if error comes, it will be stored in the exception object, right?
Yes, in general that's what happens, right? If any exceptions comes, that will be stored in the exception object, either, I mean, if you declare it, or otherwise whatever the perfect exception, if it is a SQL thing, SQL exception, under this you're going to store our stack trace, right? So that by using that we can able to get the stack trace.
Yeah, normally in Java we have to use a try catch, right?
It depends upon, you can able to use the throws also. Both will be
Yeah, we can use,
acceptable.
yeah, throws
Hmm.
also. Yeah, correct.
Depends upon situation, you can able to use.
Here it is using throws.
Where? Here.
Yeah, I'm asking.
Let us see your doubt here. My understanding is correct. It is not using the throws. Okay, let me but check this is error page Java file. By default, IO exception, servlet exception will come with the service method. No, that is not the case at here. So it's trying to write some other piece of code to manage this.
Yeah. Yeah, again, look at caching.
That's why sometimes we may not be understanding what exactly been writing inside, because it varies from server to server also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
Okay,
I got the answer. Yeah.
and another one is there. Is thread safe? Another praise attribute called is thread safe. By default, it is true. Okay, let us go and see how this will be. First, let me try to hit this from UI. Okay, now, so by default, is thread safe is true. Okay, now let me go and open this file. So it is 1.jsp, and go here and see, did I implement any single thread model here?
Implemented too?
No, no. Did I implemented any single thread model here?
No.
No, right. So let me try to make this as false. Okay. Now try to go on hit. Let go back to the servlet and see. Now
Extends.
implements. That's an
So,
interface.
okay, implement.
Now,
Yes.
so based upon the isThreadSafe attribute, true or false Boolean parameter, we are going to implement the single thread model. Okay. By default, it has always been true. Okay. By default, it has always been true. If it is a true, then it never implements a single thread model. Okay. If you make it as a false, then it is going to implement single thread model. So what is the difference between, like, making the implement or without making the implementation for this? Actually, to speak, web container is the one first. Okay, for example, some 10 users are there, 10 users hit the URL. Web container is the one which receives the requests, all these 10 requests. Okay, then it is going to create the multiple 10 threads. Okay, and then it will go and ask, like, go and hit the particular servlet. For example, here 1.jsp is the servlet, so please go and hit the particular servlet. Okay, whenever if I make it as a true, so that, so what happens is, like, in a class, a thread can able to access the local variables and methods. Okay, okay, each and every thread have the its own methods. I mean, the method signature will be copied in their method area, and then the local variables of a method will be copied in a stack area. Each and every thread having the same. Okay, but all the threads are going to use the common instance variables. Okay, instance variables means how can I able to declare? For example,
Declaration.
yes, JSP declarations. Put the bank symbol here. For example, int string. If I'm using as like this, is this a instance variable or local variable?
It's a instance class level variable.
Yes, this will be get declared at a class level, right? So now this is an instance variables. In general, threads will share the, I mean, same instance variable. Okay, if one thread modifies this instance variable, that will affect the other threads also. Got a point?
No, it's not a static, right? It's a class level variable, right?
No, no, no. This is an instance variable. Instance variables are, like, shared to the all the threads. That's what I'm saying. I am not saying about the static variables. Okay, static variables are the class level variables. Instance variables are the object variables. Object level variables, right? We have created
Yeah.
one object. Okay, and this object is shared by the multiple threads, actually, to speak. Okay,
Okay.
each thread is going to have their own method area and stack area. So that is the reason all the method signatures will be get copied, and the local variables of the each method will be get copied in a stack area. But that is not the case for the instance variables. So instance variables are shared by all the threads. Okay, consider an example. If one thread modified the instance variable from, for example, from Durga to something XYZ, okay, it will affect the other threads also. So in order to avoid this one, we need to make the one request, means one thread has to be get accessed at an instant of time. Okay, only one thread has to be get accessed at an instant of time. So that is the reason we implement this is thread safe here. If we make it as a false, then it is going to implement the single thread model interface. If it happens, what happens? Yes, 10 requests will come to the web container. Okay, but web container will give single request to the object at a time. Okay, first it will give one request. Once it is done, it will go and give the second request. Once it is done, it will go and give the third request. Like that, it is going to give. Okay.
E- okay.
Yeah, Vijay, tell me.
Yeah, is it like, waiting process because, until the first thread
Exactly.
completes,
Exactly. So what is the problem with this one if I'm using?
the other threads has to be wait.
Yes, so that's the reason, most of the cases we never implement this. Performance while it will be lost the performance, right? Because, for example, 1 lakh users are there, okay? That 1 lakh the person has to wait for 10 minutes to get a response back from the server. If the server is slow, if the server is super fast, it's okay.
Correct.
Okay, so this is kind of a synchronizer block which you have seen in threads. Like, it is going to allow only one thread at a time. So it's going to allow only one. I mean, you can able to access particular area only one thread at a time, like that. Here also the same. If we make the class as a single thread model, okay, so that these instance variables are protected, so that only one request can access at a time. It will not affect the other one, other thread I'm saying.
Okay.
So that is the reason we'll implement this is thread safe. But actually to speak, this single thread model is already been deprecated, but I don't know why still these guys are using this single thread model.
But if you don't use, like you said, like, it will be affected by other threads, right?
Yes.
So is it that then it is managed to use that kind of model, right?
Whenever you're using the instance variables in your GSP, at that instant only you need to use this is thread
Okay.
safe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you're not
Okay.
using instance variables, then no need to go for.
No need. Yeah.
Okay, and nowadays, actually to speak, that's what the reason behind people are thinking, like, there were like many pitfalls are there in this single thread model, but still why the containers are still supporting. That's what the big question into the pictures of the developers. Okay,
Okay.
it's only been deprecated, but still containers are using.
Or even the latest containers.
Yes, LS containers also been having. Come on, see, I downloaded the latest Tomcat, right? Still I can able to use this.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a big question for us. Like, why Sun Microsystem right now? Okay, anyway, Oracle, it's under control of Oracle. Why they are still suggesting to use the single thread model? Big question for us. Okay, it's okay. There were like, it's there. It happens sometimes. Okay, so up to here we were done with these page attributes. So we're having the import, extends, language, info, buffer, error page, is error page, thread safe. Okay, all these kinds of then page directives are there. Depending upon that, we are going to use. In most of the cases, page directives are like, it's a kind of information giving to the web container in most of the cases. Okay, um, for example, this is the one, it says like giving the information to the web container saying like my info is this about the servlet. Okay, and this one it says like in my current page I'm going to use the Java. Okay, and this one says like my maximum size will be 16 KB, 20 KB, or by default 8 KB, like that. In most of the cases, page directories are like, supposed to be used to give some kind of information to the web containers. Okay, okay, then we'll move to the next page, next directive, that is include. Okay, so when I'm calling 2.jsp, I should have a 2.jsp also at here, right? Let me go and check whether I'm having the 2.jsp at here or not in the servlets. No, I don't have any. I need to create one new text document 2.jsp. Now go and give some information, 2.jsp. Just let me try to give some break also, so that it will come in a new line. Okay, now let me go on hit the one.jsp. Yes. Okay, something right here. One.jsp. File. I didn't give the attribute name, right? Yes. So if you want to include the multiple files into your current file, then at that time we are going to use this include page directive. Okay, this is one.jsp, and if I want to include the details of other file also, then I'm going to use this include directive. Okay, include and attribute name, file name is equal to value, whatever it is, right? I'm trying to include the 2.jsp. In real time, in what situations we are going to get this kind? Let us go and see. Let me try to remove this. This is a main.
Is something like extending?
Um, no, it is something like including. Okay, let me show you. Okay, I'm having one.jsp. Okay, along with better, I will modify this header, footer. Okay, this is header section. Go to the footer. So here I'm going to use include file is equal to header.jsp footer.jsp. Okay, now let us go and hit the main.jsp. Better I will use one bracket here, so it will be clear for us. So now see, actually I'm trying to call only one file, main.jsp. Internally what it is happening, first it is trying to include the header section, and then it is including the main content area, and then finally it is including the footer section. This is how the real time they are going to program. Okay, they don't use the single JSP for all. Okay, they were using the multiple JSPs accordingly, and in the final page they are going to add all these, so make them to be available. Okay, so this is the way I can able to make this header section, main content area, food section by using just a single file. In this main content area I'm trying to include the header file and then footer file, so it will be get coming and added at here. Okay, any doubts in this one?
Yeah, it's something like it use reusability, right?
Exactly, means same JSP file can be used in other areas also, because just like a main page I'm going to have some other pages also in my application, so everywhere I need the header and footer. Okay, in all the pages what I'm going to do, just I'm going to place header at the top and footer at the bottom of the JSP, so that it will be get added accordingly.
And also code will be very
Clear. In
clean, like
future if
less.
something happens in the header, you'll go and just touch the header.jsp, you never go and touch the other files.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. Okay then, any more doubts, guys? I'll stop at here.